this is Bob Kay from the AMD World Championship. We're here today in Sturgis 2010, and I have with me Dave Cook. Actually, Dave is the reigning world champion and is very familiar with what we have going on and the aspect of the design and engineering that AMD tries to get their builders to focus on. AMD is not really concerned about traditional power plants, and what Dave has put together for us is something that I think you'll find a little special. So Dave, can you tell us what your inspiration was in terms of the styling and what your design objectives were of this bike?
Yeah, as far as one single thing, there's not one thing that inspires me. It's, you know, everything around me. But the style of bike that you see here is kind of board track style, which I've always liked. You know, Roger Burgett with his low seat, he's the one that's got me going on this many years ago. And this is where we come to today.
Well, obviously you've got that board track vintage styling really nailed down. But interesting way in you treat some of the sheet metal in terms of mounting, and well, what does it take to manufacture a tank and get it mounted so it has that low type set position?
All right, I'll tell you in a second, but the first thing I want to say is this bike is a customer bike. I didn't build this bike for competition, so it's something a little different. I can't really go extreme with a customer bike because we got to keep it in the price range and have it very rideable. As far as the gas tank, it's a Paco tank that we split and you know, just mounted a little differently than normal.
Well, that's, you know, pretty amazing considering that you're able to still come up with this kind of fit and finish design on a bike that's being built for someone. I do understand that Dave has won in the freestyle class, and you really have unlimited parameters there. He's entered in this class today to just kind of, again, showcase what we have going on here. So let's talk a little bit about the power plant. What do we have here, and why did you choose that?
The motor's a 74 Norton 850. Actually, the customer brought it in. So that was why we chose that.
All right, well, that's as good a reason as any. So, okay, you got a customer and he brings in a power plant he has from an old project or something maybe he had hanging around. What did it do for the chassis? You must have had to make the chassis or modify something around, even on a customer-built bike.
This was brought in, the motor and tranny was brought in actually a bike that did not look like a bike. You know, was involved in a bad accident. Fortunately, the motor and tranny were savable. And he brought us this power plant, said, here you go, do with it what you want, and I can't go over 20 grand. And we built this bike.
Well, that's pretty amazing. I would have thought this was far much greater than that. Let's take a look at that front end. It looks like you got some kind of girder going on. Is there any kind of special fabrication? Is that something or a brand that somebody else is able to purchase?
It's a one-off front end that we do. The bottom tree on this is made out of all stainless steel. The whole design of the front end is kind of modeled after a Schwinn bike. The old apple crate, orange crate, you remember those front ends? That's what it's pretty much modeled after.
All right, well again, I think you got that styling deal. Very nice the way the handlebars coming out. I mean, this is a fine example of a minimalist expression of a motorcycle. Let's talk about finish. I noticed there's a combination of some polish and brass and everything. How do you decide where to do what and then make it all flow together?
I don't know if the camera's going to show it. I'm not a big fan of chrome. Everything you see on here is either nickel plated or stainless steel that's polished. That look pretty similar. The handlebars are stainless steel. The fender's chrome. The fender's nickel plated. The gas tank's nickel plated. Everything else is polished aluminum.
Well, I kind of had a sense of that. I know of you, and I knew chrome was not the thing that you wanted to forecast in a bike like this. Well, you know, it's pretty amazing that you're able to produce a bike like this, of this caliber, and that kind of price range. How long did it take you to put something like this together?
It's about a 3-month build.
Again, I find that there must have been a lot of hand work and fitment involved in the deal. Generally, is there any parameters or something if somebody wants to have Dave Cook build a bike for them? Is there anything that they have to do or know, or just kind of come in and talk to Dave and work it out?
You know, if they come in and want a bike built, the only thing that's going to limit them is the money they want to spend.
Well, that's usually the limiting factor across the deal. Well, you know, Dave, I appreciate you taking the time today to be with us. You do fine work, and you have your reputation precedes you. Thanks again and taking the time to be at the AMD World Championship.
And thank you, AMD. Because of AMD, I'm so busy right now, I did not have time to build a bike. And it's all because of last year's winning.
Well,
I say thank you.
We appreciate it.
To the USA. Now, unless it's returned, and I don't think he has, we have a story. This morning, one of these guys' crew was bitten by a spider, and being a true hero he is, knowing that the award ceremony was now, he got his guy in the car and rushed him to hospital in the Rapid City. So I don't think he can be with us today. So, on behalf of fellow Milwaukeean Dave Cook, I'd like to invite Steve Banshaw to the stage to collect the trophy on behalf of Cook Customs. Dave Cook, 2009 World Champion this year, 8th place.
So it looks like an extra trophy to carry on, just because I'm now in Milwaukee, I have to take one back for there too.
Dave Cook, ladies and gentlemen, 8th place freestyle.
Shelby, and you're watching the AMD World Championships of Custom Bike Building vidcast. We are sponsored in part by Big Dog Motorcycles, Crane Cams, S&S.